Imagine being in a place surrounded by towering walls, and if you try to escape, dangerous creatures will kill you. Only a select few are allowed inside this maze, chosen by a mysterious team. One day, a boy enters, teaching the others new techniques. Slowly, he begins outperforming them. But the real question is, will they all make it out alive? Let's find out. The story begins with a girl riding up in an elevator. She doesn't remember anything about herself, not even her name. When she reaches the top, she's met by a group of girls all staring at her. Meanwhile, the boy reaches the ground, looking confused. Without warning, he starts running, desperate to get away. But after a while, he stumbles and falls. As he looks around, his confusion deepens. He's surrounded by giant walls, and there's no escape. Soon, the girl is thrown into a cage. The boy's leader, Albie, is the first to arrive here, the one who knows the most about this place. Rel, another member, explains that memory loss is common here, and she'll eventually start remembering things. Days pass, and Albie introduces the boy to the others, including a girl named Mute. He explains the rules of the maze. No one is allowed to cross the walls, but the girl is puzzled. Why are these people stuck here? Why can't they leave? In her curiosity, she starts walking toward the wall, but a boy named Chuck quickly stops her, warning that it's dangerous. The boy's curiosity grows. What are these walls? What's inside? As he wonders, he spots two people coming out from within the maze. His confusion deepens. Albie had told him no one could go inside. Chuck explains that only runners, highly skilled individuals, are allowed to enter the maze. They know its ins and outs. Everyone else must stay behind the walls. Just then, another boy, Golly, pushes the boy to the ground, accusing him of breaking the rules. A crowd gathers, trying to explain things to the girl. Suddenly, a terrifying noise erupts from the walls, and fierce winds whip through the air. The walls start to close in. In that moment, the girl realizes that these aren't just walls. They are part of a massive shifting maze, and the walls will close at any moment. That night, everyone celebrates, but the boy, still unsure of his identity, sits with Mute, lost in thought. He wants to know more about the walls. Newton, another boy, explains that the maze is far more dangerous than they realized. Even if someone escapes one wall, there are countless others, each leading deeper into the labyrinth. And inside the maze, there are terrifying creatures whose stings turn people into zombies. Runners enter the maze searching for a way out, but if they don't return before the walls close, they won't survive. Horrified, the boy, still without a name, brings Newton to meet the others. Meanwhile, Golly and the others engage in a rough game, inviting the girl to join. When the others start teasing her, the boy steps in to defend her, but Golly overpowers him, and the boy is thrown to the ground. Just as it seems like the whole group is against him, Golly slams the boy's head into the ground. In that moment, the boy remembers everything. "My name is Thomas," he says, his voice filled with shock. A wave of relief sweeps over the others as they celebrate his sudden clarity. The next day, while collecting soil from the forest, Thomas encounters a girl acting strangely. She mutters that everything happening is Thomas's fault, then attacks him. Terrified, Thomas runs, desperate to find safety. When the others investigate, they discover the girl has been stung by a creature. She begins transforming into a zombie. Knowing she poses a danger to everyone, they make the painful decision to send her back into the maze. Thomas protests, but there's no other choice. With heavy hearts, they push the girl beyond the wall, and it closes behind her. As Thomas begins to piece things together, he starts having strange dreams about a laboratory. A woman appears in his dreams, repeating the same words over and over. When he wakes up, he notices that Albie and a boy named Hoon are heading into the maze. Thomas, eager to understand more, asks Newton how he can become a runner. Newton explains that only the most agile and perceptive are chosen, but most don't make the cut. Determined, Thomas, along with the others, approaches Albie, asking him to consider him as a runner. They wait anxiously for Newton's return, but the walls begin to close. If they don't return before it's too late, it won't survive the night. As the walls start to shut, Thomas sees Albie and Newton returning, but Albie is gravely injured. The walls are closing fast. With no time to lose, Thomas makes a split-second decision. He rushes into the maze, trapping himself inside with Albie and Newton. Newton is furious. "You've made a huge mistake," he warns. "Now you'll die with us." But Thomas isn't thinking about that. Albie's condition is worsening. He's been stung by a creature. Without hesitation, Thomas and Newton tie Albie to the wall, using it as a barrier to keep the creature away. But as they work, a massive creature approaches. Newton escapes, but Thomas is trapped. He hides, hoping it won't find him. After what feels like an eternity, the creature finally moves on. Thomas unties Albie, unaware that the creature is still nearby, watching from above. Without warning, it attacks, chasing Thomas for what feels like miles. With no escape in sight, Thomas grabs onto the branches growing on the walls, using them to avoid being devoured. Just when it seems like all hope is lost, he spots Minu. Together they run, but then Thomas has an idea. He can use the maze to trap the creature. He lures it toward him, running through a closing wall, forcing the creature to chase him. Thanks to his smaller size, Thomas slips through the wall just before it closes, trapping the creature inside. It dies as the wall seals behind it. Exhausted but alive, Thomas and Minu bring Albie back to their friends, but the danger is far from over, and the maze still holds many secrets. What happens next? Only time will tell. Here Gally, the vice captain, angrily told everyone that Thomas had broken the rules. He wasn't a runner, yet he had placed himself in the middle of the wall. This enraged Gally, and he demanded that Thomas be punished. But before anyone could act on it, something else arrived in the lift. The group rushed to see what it was, and to their surprise, it was a girl. This was the first time a girl had arrived, and with her was a note that read, "This is the last one," indicating that no one else would come after her. To Thomas's shock, this girl was the same one he had seen in his dreams. Suddenly, the girl stood up and began calling Thomas's name. As she did, everyone around him started forgetting who Thomas was, as if his very existence was being erased from their memories. Determined to understand what was happening, Thomas and the others went to investigate the dead creature, finding a strange device inside its head. They brought it back with them. As Thomas examined it, he found a map of the entire labyrinth, a map created by Albie and Min. It included everything they had discovered about the maze. Min pointed out that there were certain signs on the walls, and on the device they had recovered, there were numbers, including a number that seemed to relate to the creatures. This suggested that many more creatures could be lurking inside the maze. Meanwhile, the girl, whose name was revealed to be Teresa, regained consciousness. In a panic, she began throwing stones at everyone, unable to trust them. When Thomas approached her calmly, he learned that she couldn't remember anything except her name. Her real name was Teresa, and like Thomas, she had been having the same dreams. She also held a type of antidote that could potentially save someone from the creature's venom. The group decided to use the antidote to treat LB, and after administering it, LB showed significant improvement. Thomas and Minu, now both runners, ventured deeper into the maze, applying their intelligence and agility to navigate the shifting paths. As they explored, Thomas found the same machine he had previously discovered inside the creature, which had the number 7 written on it. They reached gate number 7, and when they approached, the machine activated and scanned them with a laser, causing the entire area to begin breaking apart and closing. Realizing that the maze was constantly shifting, Thomas and Min barely managed to escape, running fast to avoid being trapped. They returned to their friends, breathless but safe. When Albie heard the news, he was devastated. He revealed to everyone that they were all part of an experiment being conducted by an unknown group of people. When the poison entered his body, he had seen the truth. Everyone began to understand that if the door remained open, the monstrous creatures could attack them. And that's exactly what happened. A swarm of creatures emerged, attacking the group. They ran for their lives, hiding in bushes, but it wasn't enough. The creatures found them, and they began killing everyone. The group fought back, but their efforts were futile. The creatures were too powerful. They eventually took shelter in a hut, but the creatures followed them, relentlessly attacking. After a long battle, the creatures crossed the wall, and for the moment, everyone was safe. Troubled by LB's statement that he had seen everything after being stung, Thomas decided to intentionally allow a creature to sting him. He fell unconscious and found himself in the same laboratory from his dreams, with Teresa watching the entire experiment unfold. Upon waking, Thomas shared his discovery with everyone, telling them that this entire ordeal was an experiment monitored by a team of people. Now Gally had become the new captain and was furious with Thomas. He captured both Thomas and Teresa, preparing to send them over the wall, but Thomas fought back, and the others joined him. Gally didn't want to let them go, but many members of the group sided with Thomas, desperate to escape the maze they'd been trapped in. Together, Thomas and the others ventured deeper into the maze. They encountered a creature, and after a fierce battle, managed to bring it down. But just as they thought they had won, more creatures appeared, launching another attack. In the chaos, Teresa and Chuck showed them a way forward. But the entrance was locked and required an 8-digit password. As the creatures continued their assault, Thomas remembered that the pattern of the maze could be the key. Minu relayed the pattern to Teresa, and when they entered it, the walls began to close, trapping the creatures inside. The group opened the door and merged, finding themselves in the same laboratory Thomas had seen in his dreams. There, a video of a woman played, revealing the horrifying truth. All of this had been part of an experiment. A deadly virus had spread in the real world, killing people, but a few individuals were immune. The woman in her organization had gathered these immune children, including Thomas and the others, to study their behavior under extreme conditions. The video explained that the experiment had been discovered by powerful soldiers, who attacked the facility, killing everyone involved. As the group processed this shocking information, they encountered Gally, now wielding a knife. He refused to let them pass. It was then that they realized Gally had also been stung by a creature. Gally fired at Thomas, but Minu intervened, fatally wounding Gally in the process. Thomas felt a deep sense of guilt, torn by the fact that Gally's death was partly due to him. At that moment, a team of soldiers arrived, rescuing the group. Thomas, still reluctant to leave Chuck behind, who had become like a brother to him, was forced into a helicopter. As they flew away, they looked down to see a vast maze. Realizing they had been trapped in its center all along, they were finally saved. But as they took off, a chilling revelation came to light. The woman, the mastermind behind the experiment, was still alive. It was all part of her plan, and she was already preparing the remaining survivors for the next phase of her twisted experiment. And so the story ends here, but the mystery lingers. Viewers, how did you like this story? Please let us know in the comments. Our team puts in a lot of effort to create these stories, so please subscribe to see more intriguing content.